Okay, so you find bombing boring because you bomb a base and then you die. I want to show you how not to. There's going to be a couple of things we're going to go through, so buckle up, get a beverage or something, because we're going to get, it's going to get a bit complicated. The video will be timestamped, so you can skip and stuff like that, as you wish. Alright, so first things first, I want to go through controls. So, controls. So, this is already done for me, but we're going to start fresh, completely fresh. Just for, well, I guess beginners and stuff like that, you know. So I'm gonna go keyboard advanced. Select that layout. So it's gonna chuck you here. I'm gonna start from the top. Gonna go through everything. Alright, so first things first, movement. Go through here. Change this to axis air. So I don't know. I'll explain it later. Um, let's see what else. Ah, yes, here. Alright, so flaps up and down. So you want to set these to something that you can macro because you need like, well, you need to use them a lot. Now, like using F for flaps is good and all, but sometimes you want to, like let's say in a dogfight, you want to take off flaps or landing flaps. To use that with just F, you need to play around with like the landing gear as well. Nah, no way. Just set it to something you need. So left and right, I had that set to, my mouse has like a horizontal scroll, and so pretty much I can just roll that, and it'll macro that. So flaps up and down. There we go. What else is there? Ah, here we go. So drop bomb. We want to delete all of that. We want to set this to middle mouse button. Replace lock target. Don't need that. That is, well, we need space for something else. Drop bomb series. Leave that for B. Open bomb bay door. Now that is space. Yep. So think of it this way. If you have all these set as one button, it's going to get pretty confusing. You might drop a couple bombs when you don't want to. So space is just for opening the Bombay doors. And B just on top of that is actually drop the whole thing. And if you want to just drop one bomb, just middle mouse button it. Ah, here we go. Gunners, toggle gunners. You don't really need this, but I do like using it. Just in case like you want to be friendly or something, you tell the gunners to not shoot. That'll do it. Alright, next we got camera control. So, a couple things we want from here. You want external view. Have that set to, let's say, mouse button 5, so that's the front one. Back one will be set to gunner view. This is just so you can quickly switch to it, don't have to press V all the time. And you can pretty much just roll your thumb on it, and you can quickly switch. Very useful, very useful. Bomber view, you can set that as well, but you won't need to switch to that quickly. Oh, if you have tracking camera, and if that's being like used by something, let's say right mouse button, just delete it. You don't need that. In that case, you can probably set right mouse button to something else that you want. Alright, next. Instructor. Just turn everything off. You don't need all this. It's just going to hinder you. Alright, now, for the next little bits, I'm going to switch from mouse aim to full wheel controls. Now, bear with me, it's not going to take too long, but it's going to be pretty important if you want to actually, well, use the full capability of your plane. Alright, so, now we're here. What's changed? Now, what's changed is a whole bunch of shit from here, but what we're really looking for is trimming. Not really trimming. You can use this if you want to. There's another YouTuber that does bombers that uses just trimming to do his thing. And from what I see, he does the job pretty well. I won't be using that because I like my method, Lamau. You can look at his method if you want. So for the intents and purposes of this video, we're not using trimming. Manual engine control. Now this, we need. There's a couple things we're going to need to bind here. We're going to be using the numpad. If you don't have a numpad, get one. Lamau. Alright. So, engine control mode. This is going to toggle between your regular mode that you use every single time you load up Warthunder and manual engine control. So, I'm going to set this to numpad dash. I don't know what that is. The top right one. Toggle engine, that's fine. Mixture. Alright. This is an axis. We want to use all the axes here. So enable access, actually, no. Maximum value. So I'm going to have that set as number 8. Replace that. Minimum value will be 2. Now, for all the accesses in here, we're going to set relative control 50%. This is so... I'll explain it before. Just do this, Lamau. Alright. So have that set. Propeller pitch, that's the next thing we need. Exactly the same thing, but okay, maximum value, we're going to have numpad plus and numpad enter. Same thing, relative control, 50%. Ah, I forgot all these ones too. Alright, radiator. Alright, so radiator. So have that as 6. Have this one as 4. Relative control, 50%. Oil radiator. Now, because they're both radiators, I like to just simplify it a little bit. I like having this maximum value as period 6. This one as period 4. Same thing, 50%. So pretty much if you want to use radiator, 6 and 4, but if you want to use oil radiator, you just press the period key while doing the same thing. Done. Okay. Toggle auto propeller pitch. So you might need this. Some planes do have auto propeller, and if it does, just use that. It's going to be a lot easier. But for what we're going to use, alright. For what we're going to use for it, maybe end. Auto radiator. It's kind of the same thing. If it needs it, if you need it, if the plane has it, then use it. If you need it, have that to delete. You know, just any key. You don't need superchargers really. Like they will just work themselves. Maybe some of the American planes, like P-47, come to mind. P-38, they use turbochargers. I don't play those planes. Same thing as magnetos. You don't need to worry about that. Prop feathering, you do need to worry about that. I like setting this as insert. It's the closest thing to the actual keyboard. It's just easy to get to. Here we go. Oh yeah, almost forgot. This is really important. Toggle supercharger. So this is what gives you high altitude advantage. Oh, sorry, high altitude performance. So have that as right shift because most aircraft only have like 2 gears anyway. You're not going to change it much. It's only at a specific altitude that you need to. Alright. Depending on how many engines your bomber has, I'd recommend setting these. Probably just like 1, 2, 3. Maybe 4 engines. Most things have 4 engines. Less. Toggle for all engines, I like using tilde. Now, see, already toggle for gunners. Because I won't be using this button much, I'll just add it. So, this isn't a toggle. It just activates all engines. So let's say you have like number 2 and number 4 selected, you press tilde, it'll just select everything again. So, if you have gunners disabled, and you press the button, it'll enable it. But it won't do anything with the engine, so whatever. Alright, and that's pretty much it for manual engine control. Play with this as you want, really, like all the things. This is just like a rough guideline of what you need. So go back to mouse aim, that's all you need for now. We're done with the controls. That's all you need to really do. Change it as you will, what's comfortable for you anyway. I want to load back to one that I'm comfortable with. As you can see, you need a lot. Well, you don't need a lot of control configurations, but there's a lot of buttons you need. So, yeah. Alright, so we're done with that. Close it. Alright, so next. What we need. It's kind of a need. It's more of an optional thing, but for what we need to do now, load up a test session. Actually, that's really loud. So have a pause for now. And I think you've already saw it on the top right. Sorry, top left. It's that little thing that was there. The extra HUD. That's what we're gonna do. That is Warthunder real-time information, and you can get that in the link below. It's in a GitHub. Some guy called Me Soft Horny. What the fuck? Anyway, this guy makes good stuff. Please download Warthunder RTI. When you do, you'll get something like an exe. All right. So this is the download folder. So what we're gonna do. This is what it should look like. I have a pretty old version, but that's fine. Any version should work. It kind of updates itself. It does update itself actually. So if you just click it right now, it'll download all its things, whatever. It's gonna use the internet. Now, you won't see that on your first run. The HUD that I have right now. That's because it's using one of my loaded things. Here we go. I have one for jets, one for prop. Now we're gonna start fresh. So we're gonna go reset. Everything deleted. Don't need that. So what we need first, we need a couple of parameters. So we're gonna go add. We're gonna go engine. So 3 things we need here. You can get as many as you want, and there's other ones I use as well, including fuel. But there's only 3 we need for props anyway. This is gonna be for propellers. Maybe I'll make a jet one, but there's not really much jets that have gunners, so it's not really the purpose for this video. So what we need is propeller efficiency. Go back to that. What we also need is power in horsepower, and optional. This is optional. RPM. So this is for, let's say, German planes. If you set manual engine controls, they might blow up the engine, because what happens is that the RPM goes above 3000 and the engine just conks out. So this is a way of, well, reading it out. So as you can see, it's already on the screen. It's being displayed, but it's in a really weird place. So what we're going to do now is we are going to change some things. So we're going to go settings. Now, what's this screen? This is just the settings screen for Warthunder real time. So what we want to go here is going to go to a group. So click this little button here. So currently all these 3 are in main. That's what shows up on there. But we don't want main. We're going to add a new group. We're going to call this prop. Add that. Set. Done. Now, before we do anything, just quickly apply that. Okay. Go back to these. Click them. And then change their group to prop. Just to make things a bit more easier to read. PEFC, I don't really know what that means. Whatever. I know it means prop efficiency, but for this I'm going to go override name. I'm just going to change that to prop, because I know it's going to read out the prop. Yep, so click OK on that one. So it's changed to this other thing down here, prop. This is the prop group. So do that with these one too. That'll move down. Power. That'll move down as well. Done. Alright. So now we go to group, go to this drop down, go click prop. So if you want this to align with your HUD, it might already be aligned with your HUD, but I use an 85% safe zone. So for that, I put in some parameters here, position X and position Y. So I want, just because I've done this before, I go position 170 and position, what is it? Be 50. Sorry, no, it's 10. Okay, so apply that. It's moved. It's moved 170 pixels, I think, and then 10 down, something like that. Now, it's a bit bigger than the actual HUD, so I'm going to go scale. I'm going to scale that down. I know it's about 95%. Now, it's changed about a bit, but now it looks nice. It aligns with the other HUD. You can read it easily. Now, depending on how many engines you have, more of these things will appear. So since I'm flying, this is a P-36, it only has one engine, which means it is only displaying 3. So if I quickly go to another plane, okay, as you can see, it's doubled everything because we have 2 engines. Now, you may not like this, you can change it if you want. It's overlapping some of my other HUD. I don't really care, it just means there's more information in a tighter space. You can change that as you will. And that's pretty much it for Warthunder RTI. That's pretty much the basics. Change it as you will. I'm just gonna switch back to my propeller one, and as you can see, I've added some more things. They'll have another group here called fuel. So it just has fuel consumption and massive fuel in kilograms, and it shows up around here just above the chat. But that's enough of that now. You can just minimize that and it'll just run in the background. You can set it to close with the game, so you don't even have to close it like up separately. Okay, we're just going to go back into a test flight. Alright, we just need to take off here because I'm going to show you some basics of movement. Now this might be baby steps for other use, for some of you. This might be really important for others. It really depends on your skill level at this point in time. I'm just gonna say that you don't know much. So game's really loud. Give me 1 second. So we have a plane. We're going about cruise speed, level flight. So we're not even in manual engine control yet. We just have Warthunder RTI up. So now we're going to turn on manual engine control. So we do that. We press that button, numpad dash. Everything's switched to 50%. That's because the relative control. Now you can see Warthunder RTI is changing its parameters. Now to use manual engine control, it's a bit finicky without Warthunder RTI because you don't know what you're doing. You can only see like your speed and stuff like that. But with RTI, you can see your horsepower, you can see your efficiency. So let's say if I want to raise the propeller pitch to 100%, this means the propeller is scooping out as much air as it can. As you can see, propeller efficiency has went down slightly because I'm not going to get into it. Whatever, it just goes down slightly. Horsepower goes up because the engine is whatever, you know. It's cause and effect. So if I let's say switch to 75 propeller pitch. Propeller efficiency has gone up about 1%. Power has gone down maybe about 50 horsepower. You can see how it changes. Play with that as you want. What you want to aim for is the highest numbers possible, both efficiency and horsepower. Yeah, so let's say if you're stalling out, you're doing like a really big dogfight, you want to get out. So the lower your speed goes, you notice that your propeller efficiency is also going down. Because propellers, they're only built for a certain speed. Like, yeah, you can pitch them and stuff like that, but it's the physics of the time. So we're going about stalling speed. You can see efficiency is dropping dramatically. We're going 62%. It's really struggling to keep the plane up. Your propeller will be most efficient at cruising speed. Now, in saying that, the adverse effect is that if you're going too fast, your efficiency will also drop down. So as you can see, propeller efficiency is going up, 86%, 87%. Let's see how high it goes. About 89%, 90% actually. Oh shit! I see. So we're going just above 330 knots. It's dropping back down again. Now, depending on the plane, that where it drops down will be different. But just keep that in mind. That's why when you're going like super fast, you won't be going fast for long. You'll drop down to a cruising speed again, because that's why your propeller is out of juice. It needs to go back down to a slower speed where it can pick up all the air again. Now, with mixture, mixture is I don't think it's modeled correctly in Warthunder. It's really easy. So let's say at the moment it's 75%. 75%, 50%, they do the same thing. You'll see. Actually, no. Okay, actually, yeah, from 50% to 75%, there won't be any change at all. Even 100% to 120% fuel mixture, nothing changes at all. This might change the higher you go. Your engine might conk out, it might just stop running. In that case, just lower it a bit until it starts running again. Now, the adverse effect, if you go lower and lower, you can see the horsepower, it drops down because we're giving the engine less fuel. So if you keep dropping it down, let's say 50%, we're down like to 600 horsepower from 1800. It's a lot. So if you keep dropping it down, engine died because it's just air in there. There's nothing else. So we put the mixture back up again, turn the engine back on, fine and dandy. That's mixture. Now let's say your engine is overheating. That's where your radiators come in. So radiators will produce drag. So you really want them as closed as much as possible. Like you want to be like riding that orange line, not going into red, not going into yellow. Same thing with oil radiators. You just want to ride the two. You want to read the engine temperatures and stuff like that. You can manage them. If you're noticing that your engines are overheating too much and you have the radiators all the way out, what you can then try doing is reducing the propeller pitch, reducing the horsepower. You can also use the mixture to do this. Energy conservation. Pretty much knowing where your plane flies best, like which speed it flies best, and trying to keep at that speed. Try not to be inefficient in your engine performance. So at the moment, like we're doing like 87%. This is fine. If I'm going down to 75%, then there's a problem. I'm gonna have to start thinking about my energy conservation at that point because my engine is producing as much as it should be. So like let's say I'm doing like a tight turn. This plane's quite good because it actually does keep its speed very well. But let's say we're slowing down, let's say, okay, bad example, this plane doesn't slow down. Let's say I'm going up. So I'm dropping down, propeller pitch is dropping down. I should really start thinking about getting some speed again. So I will. Just a little bit of speed, just for the propeller pitch to go up to about 80% again. Most planes will never be 100% efficient. Highest I've seen is maybe about 95%. That's about it. Most planes are about 80%. So take this into consideration. Alright. One last thing I want to go through with sort of movement is a balancing technique I do. So let's say, give me one moment. Okay, so what I have here is just my keyboard overlaid on the screen, so you can see my key presses. So basically what the balancing technique is you're balancing what your plane is doing, what your pilot's doing, between what your mouse wants to do and what your keyboard wants to do. Now, pretty much what you want to do is you want to control the plane with the keyboard while reserving your right hand, your mouse, for aiming. Now, this might be very difficult for some people. For me, it's easy because I'm left-handed. I'm very dexterous with the left hand. Counterpoint being I can't aim. Now, that's why if you run into this case where you can't really control the plane how you want in this mode, that's where the other method is with the trimming. So in that case, you can start using trim controls to control your plane. It's going to be very slight movements, but it's going to be enough to throw people off. That being said, you can't really control the trim because it has delay in it. That's where this method comes in. So pick the method as you want. This is a harder method for people, or easier method. See what works with you. But basically, to practice this method, really, you want to be flying jets. That's where I learned this method. So let me just quickly load into the jet that I learned this with. Back when this plane, F-13, when this plane first came out, it was a bitch to learn because this thing dumps all its speed, and this is perfect to learn with because you don't want to waste any speed, really. Let me just quickly take off here. Okay, so now that we're taken off, so I'm flying a jet now. So now we've got a jet. I have a couple of different parameters here. Because we're not using a propeller, we're not using horsepower, I have different things here. I have thrust in kilograms of force, acceleration and meters squared. Now, this will just read out my engine performance, really. It's the same thing. You don't really need it because jets work differently from propellers. They don't have all these weird quirks. They will make most of the horsepower at sea level. That's all you need to know. So, this plane. So you're going in a straight line, no problem. You're keeping your speed. What if there's someone behind you, or you want to shoot someone behind you? You have to turn all the way around. You might just move your mouse there, and it'll just do it. You wasted probably about 400 knots worth of speed. Good job. So this balancing method is key here. So let's say you want to look behind you. You pressing negative G to just keep the plane at a slight position. Yeah, I'm losing some speed, but at least I'm still accelerating. I can slowly turn around. It's pretty much like playing an F1, F4, but you're doing it winningly. This way you can actually conserve your speed. I'm actually going to hit mark pretty soon. There we go. So technically I'm flying with the mouse, but what I'm really doing is I'm flying with just the W key. Just pressing it enough in intervals where it can just hold the plane in one position. This is what you want to do with bombers. So let's get out of that. So same thing can be applied to bombers. Absolutely the same thing. So now we're this far. Now you're asking me, great, that's all good and all, but how do I use the guns? Well, now I'll show you.
Estimate the approach angle and apply the correct deflection. Aim between the target and the tail of your bomber. It is constantly sliding towards your tail, so you have to keep changing your amount of deflection to have the right aim at the key position.
Okay, so with the new buttons that we binded, we switch to gunner view, and you see this. Now, I don't recommend the first person view for gunners just because you don't see as much. So, you see this, and you're thinking, great, it's a gun, you can shoot it. Now, as you can see, for the first initial 100 meters, let's say, the bullet spread is actually quite straight. It's going towards the target, but after that, it actually falls off. There is bullet drop. All this you're going to have to take into account. Aiming is just it's very subjective, you see. I'm not very good at aiming myself. I'm actually really shit at aiming. But I'm good enough with the keyboard where I can actually survive enough to eventually shoot them down. The other YouTubers that play bombers, they are able to shoot people down in one pass, and they're absolutely amazing just by doing that. Oh my, no way, I cannot. But okay, so being very bad at aiming myself, my only tip I can give to you is use your tracers. Now, you may say, no shit, but when I say that is that you want to find the cleanest curve between your gunner and the target. If you don't see that curve, you're not going to hit them at all. That being said, you need to know how to track your camera, so your aim. Let's say the best way to learn tracking with gunners is fixed positions like this, like a howitzer on the ground targets. If you're able to shoot them continuously, like from a forward, let's say an example like this. coming from the side, pitching up, trying to shoot at a specific point in the ground. As you can see, I'm not very good at it either. But it's all about practice. It's all about trying to get close enough. Let's go for another pass. Same thing. Slightly by the side, directly up. Out of ammo. That's fine. In realistic battles, gunners reload in the air. And that's amazing. Use that to your advantage. Let's try again. Same thing. If it's too difficult, just fly straight. Just practice flying straight first. If you can start hitting things while flying straight, then mix it up. Try a bit more maneuvers. Try actually turning around. Try broadsiding. It's all about practice, really. Like, you don't even have to start here. You can just start, you can just go full in. You can just start in realistic battles and just get shot down. That's how I started, really. It's all about practice. Okay, so we're pretty much ready. There's only one thing we need to know now. Picking the right bomber. We're not going to pick the best bomber. We're going to pick the right bomber for the situation, for your play style. Now, if you are starting out, I recommend light bombers because they handle most like fighters. That being said, they won't rip their wings off when you try to turn. Example, if you're trying to fly a heavy bomber, let's say you take out a B-17. A lot of people will go to a B-17 because it's got a lot of guns, you know. The B-17's problem is that if you have Warthunder RCI open, if you press right dash, I think it is, it's between backspace and enter. You can pull up the stats of your aircraft. So what we're looking is critical overload, positive and negative. As you can see, 3 Gs, this plane will not turn. If you try to pull any fancy maneuvers or anything, you will tear the wing off. 100% of the time. This is what I mean by balancing technique. The balancing technique can be used to preserve your wings, because you're not pulling as much G's as you would be if just putting the mass over here. Stuff like that. Also with heavy bombers, they are more difficult because they're a bigger target. It's just easier for people to get onto, it's easier for people to catch up to you, it's easier for people to keep guns on you. Because it bothers about. You're not going to turn quickly up the way. You can only do a max of 3 Gs. Yeah, you can shoot them down and stuff like that, but that's not always reliable. In the case of me, I can't aim, so they're always going to have a couple passes before I can shoot them down. Stuff like that you need to take into consideration. In saying that, let's find a plane that's kind of easy to fly for beginners. Now, I'm just going to say I recommend Japanese tree. Specifically, I recommend the D4Y3 because it has fixed armament, which means if you do get too frustrated with the guns, you can just switch to the two 7.7s. They won't do much damage, but you'll be able to use them conventionally. In saying that, it's that gunner, a 13mm. This thing, it will take maybe about 5 or 6 rounds to shoot down a plane. Let's say you won't need much rounds. Most people will look at this plane, look at this gun and say, that's kind of shit. Its horizontal guidance is only 75 degrees. Vertical guidance is not that great either. When you look at, let's say, another plane like, let's say, the B-17s or a gunner that has 180 degrees worth of firing arc, you'll think that's great, that's amazing. Because it is. trying to like going full 180 degrees, 360 degrees, that's a full firing arc. But that doesn't mean that these limited ranges are too limiting. It just means that at that plane's angle where your gun's positioned, you just can't shoot them. What if instead of thinking of this gunner as a gunner, you think of it as a fixed firing position that you're able to aim? Then things change, because if you start aiming the plane that way at people, it means you have this entire firing arc to shoot them at, and not just completely straight. This is how you fly bombers. Let's start. Oh, actually, before we start, 2 more things you need to think about. 1, it's the type of gunner that's on the plane. So, as an example, we go to WTRTI. Let's take this out. So people go to this plane and think, oh, it's amazing. It's an absolute monster or something like that. Like, people hate it because it's too good. It's really bad because it's 20mm cannon. The only 20mm cannon in the plane is in the tail. These 2 guns here, the quad 13mm, they're in a kind of okay place. Same as this one. But that's it. Because of think of where your camera is going to be when you're flying. In external view, your camera is going to be up here, around about a meter of 2-ish above your plane. That means anything on the y-axis of your camera is going to be the easiest to aim, meaning your dorsal turret. Anything closest to the dorsal turret will be the easiest to aim, and the counter of that is anything further away from your camera will be harder to aim, because you have to take into consideration the distance between your camera and the gun. That's why this thing's terrible. The stupid fucking MG151 is terrible. I hate it. It's disgusting. It doesn't do anything. It won't hit anything. You can't hit anything with it. Same thing with, let's say G4M1 has the same problem. This thing I used to use it a lot because it turns like the wind. But the only 20mm in the cannon, 20mm in this plane is in the back. That's it. And its guidance is terrible as well. You're not hitting anything with that. The only thing you're hitting planes with is this 7.7 up here, because it's in the dorsal turret position. That's why. That's pretty much it. Take this into consideration. Then the last thing, you need to think about your crew. Let's say you have a big bomber. It has 1 million crew members inside of it. Like B-17 uses... Well, it doesn't say actually. But let's say I go choose a crew for it. Done. Bam. You think, okay, good, I'm ready. No, you're not. Go into crew. Go into defensive armament. We go to number of experienced gunners. 1 out of 7. And you see, they're not going to last a minute as well. They're going to be shot by like 7.7 and they're going to die immediately. You need to invest in your crew. And let's say you don't have it, let's say you like this. You don't have much crew experience at all. Start small. You don't need like 7 gunners. You don't need to start with the B-17. Start with something with 1 gun. 1. Let's say this thing, TBF. Start with this thing. Actually, this thing's a bit of an old gem. It's got a great stinking engine in it. It's got this gunner won't do much. This one will. This guy is 180 degrees in a little pod. 150 cal. Now, if you can get good with 150 cal, you can shoot anything down. Anything. And you're fighting like biplanes. This thing is the perfect thing to learn with. Pretty much. It's got like these things, and it's got armor and stuff like that. Go nuts. And best thing about it too, it's a dorsal turret. Dorsal turret, that's 180 degrees. You will hit anything, absolutely anything with that. Okay, so we're ready. We're ready for the first match. Let's go. Alright, that took too long. We got a match. Alright, So, we load in as usual. If you want an extra challenge, go airfield, but for now, we'll just go bombers. Now, you may be thinking, why am I taking out a torpedo in a land map? It's because we're not bombing. We're gonna ditch that shit straight away. Goodbye. Bombs are weight. And if, think of it this way, the amount of potential RP you can gain from going fighter mode instead of bombing is exponentially more than just bombing. Like, I'm talking like, let's say if you do like 1.9 tons of worth of bombs, you'll get maybe 1700 score. I've got an upwards of like 5,000s, get like 3 or 4 kills. That's it. I can do more. Like, shit. It really depends. Depends on your playstyle. Depends on how hard you want to go. Do you want to be nice to people? Do you want to give them like some, let's say, some mercy? Let them bomb something, or let them go shoot someone down. No, there's no mercy here. This is a game. This is a game's about shooting people down. I want to shoot people down. That's it. That's the mindset you're supposed to have. Actually, I just remembered. I still have jet enabled, so if I put this back to prop, as you can see, I don't have RPM enabled. Did I hit him with my torpedo? Oh no. Oh no. How can you even go about flaying a torpedo? Exactly! Oh my god. Alright, so that guy, I've already caused one guy's demise. Lamau. He shouldn't have been under me. I don't know, it's not my fault. Anyway. Yeah. So, ditch the bomb, you don't need it. It's just dead weight, as you can see. Now, do not rely on your radar. Most people do this. It's like a 5-kilometer radius. Look at your screen. You have dots going about you. To my left wing, we have a dot going to the left. We have 2 in front of me. Look out for contrails as well. Just look around. I know for a fact that that's a bomber. Those 2 are bombers. In fact, it's a condor. Wow. Fighters below. Now, prioritize everything higher than you. That being said, bombers are not a priority. Think of this way. If you're looking at them, they can probably shoot you. And, well, this being a Japanese plane, it doesn't like damage at all. If I sit in front of this guy, or sit in front of this guy, shooting my gun at him, he'll shoot at me back, and I'll probably die. So, you basically want to be going for fighters. Let your friendly fighters take care of the bombers. You want to be doing them a favor by, let's say, this Key 43 is a prime target. He's the highest up of anyone here, any of the enemy fighters. So, we'll leave that guy alone for now. See, we're nice. We're nice. We'll let him do his thing. We'll let him get his RP. Alright, here's a little trick. Turn off the engine. Now you can hear them, and they can't hear you. Now this might be cheap, but whatever, he should be looking around. Huh? If your gunner has a dead zone, just fly around the dead zone. Like, look. So, see, he's 100% committed, not anymore. It's all about practice, really. Now, keep your head in the swivel. There's another guy coming in, VG123, whatever that plane is, the French thing. He's Key 43 is looking like he's about to dive out, so switch targets. Go for the French people. I can hear an engine coming in. It's them. Turn my engine off as well. Why not? Actually, no. They already know I'm here. Don't turn off the engine. Keep the engine on.
Launching an attack.
Alright. This guy looks like he's... Alright, so this is basically what we want to do. You want them to lose as much speed as possible, where they're slow enough where you can just shoot them down. Or just get a hit, anyway. But even hits are good. You don't... With the amount of hits you get, it's basically amounting to a whole kill's worth of RP. It's quite nice. Like, just hitting people is good RP. Besides just straight up killing them. Like, let's say I'm already on 250 RP, I haven't killed anyone yet. Now, this is a problem for in most occasions. If you go too hard on people, they will run away. And there's nothing you can do about that. Fighters will always be faster than you. That being said, this game is pretty much over. Nope. Okay, here's a bit of a quandary. That Focke 190 has killed the person he was looking at, and now is coming towards us at an advantage. He's at altitude, and he has speed. This is what you do against people. This is the worst scenario that you can have as a bomber. 100%. Most people will die in this situation. But two things you need to do. You need to make him lose as much speed as possible, and you need to make you, the plane that you're shooting at, just out of his range, but not too out of range that he loses interest. You want him to commit. Like right now, look, I won't dive completely straight away. I'm pretty much rolling around his axis, making it a bit like appetizing, you know. Turning a bit too much, turn a bit less, turn a bit less, turn a bit less. Just pressing W now, just pressing W. Now pull up. That's fine, that's fine. That's not fine. That's not fine. They're fucking dead. That's fine. But you know, this is it. It's all about having fun, you see. The plane's completely fine. I'm still here. I'm just gonna fight him. This is what I'm saying about using your bomber as a fighter. And also about this plane as well. This plane has no right making 1800 horsepower at this level, at this BR. And see, this is it again. It's all about tactics. It's all about getting in their head. I'm gonna sit on his tail for the next 15 minutes or so, as long as see, he can't do anything to me. That's a Focke 190. What game is this? Well, like, he's just gonna get bored. He's gonna run away at one point. And that's fine. He doesn't have guns. He can't shoot me down. I'm behind him. I am safe here. He's gonna try to roll reverse for me. That's fine. He's wasting energy. Now there's someone else coming in. See, he's gonna get the kill completely scot-free, and that's fine. We're about to win the game. He's the last one there. No, that's how you win games. That's how you survive. Come on, kill him. Oh. Alright, fuck it. I'm just gonna ram this guy. Come here. Come here. Come here, you schmuck. Yeah, come on. Yeah, kaboom! Kabam! He's still up! Oh my... Okay. No, okay, he's dead. Yeah, okay. GGXD. And that's how you survive in bombers, really. Like, we survived till the end of the match. That's good enough for me. You don't even have to do well. It's just about surviving. With all that's been covered, and with good trial and error, you can end up using bombers viably as gunships or even dogfighters. That's pretty much it. Good luck, you schmuck.